I'd already made the part 4 video and looked back on it and thought it was shit because I was just trying to get it out, so I scrapped it and started over. Honestly, content creation can just ruin the enjoyment of gaming as well. Sometimes all I want to do is just sit back, chill out while playing the game I love, and Frontiers is exactly that game. I've spent so much time playing this game and thinking about its highs and lows and what it means to me. Frontiers is amazing and shit both at the same time, for a lot of reasons. I love using the power boost to run around these giant scale areas. I loved going through the story without being spoiled and learning about the mysteries of the Starfall Islands, and I love having the freedom to just do things my own way. But hate knowing that if I jump, I lose almost all my speed and momentum with it. Sometimes I'll describe Forces by saying, for every one thing it does right, it does about another 3 things wrong. For this game, I'd say for every one thing it does wrong, it does about another 3 things right. Like, it kind of does annoy me that I know this game would be so much better with slightly altered gameplay and physics that I use with mods. I mean, it means I can enjoy it, but people that don't have a PC, they have a completely different game to the one I basically have to play now. I love the boss fights because of the combat, but at the same time, I think the combat as normal Sonic just doesn't work that well. Realistically, I feel this game should get a 5 out of 10, but I rate it as a 7.5 out of 10. This is a game where so many issues just don't bother me, but they are still there. You know, with a closer look, I don't think this Sonic model is even that bad, and what the fuck happened to your legs, mate? Maybe if the last decade of Sonic games wasn't so ass, I wouldn't think so highly of Frontiers. For the most part, it met my expectations, and yet there is still so much that can make it better. I have 3 main things that let this game down for me. One is cyberspace, as much as I think it is pretty good for the fact that I was expecting complete dog shit from it. The fact that it's so much reused content, again, is kind of a letdown, which wouldn't have been an issue if this was only like the second time it happened. But this whole era of Sonic has relied so heavily on nostalgia and the past, but this is a game that for the most part does something completely new with so much. It's a fresh start, and if Sonic Team continue on this path with being confident in new ideas and not just scrapping ones that don't work out 100% perfectly, there shouldn't be much stopping them from making Sonic as good as it can be. Frontiers has broken records, and so many people know about this game and the fact that it's good, and that might be because it feels like a real game. It's functional, has hours of enjoyment to be had with an in-depth, interesting story, and then has all the charms of Sonic with it being fast, exciting, and having absolute banging soundtracks. The other things that let me down with this game, though, are all to do with the end game. As good as Frontiers is, the end game of it is really disappointing. Starting off with the fact that Rhea Island is just the second half of Kronos that you weren't allowed to access. I don't know at what point in development they decided to split up Kronos, turning it into 3 separate areas. I think it's clear Frontiers wanted to go big, and 5 islands sounds better than 3. Because 2 of those islands are 1/3 of the first island, it's just not really that impressive. Also, it doesn't help that Rhea Island is genuinely beautiful, meaning that there is so much more to Kronos Island going basically unused, as there is no platforming challenges or assets like your grind rails and your dash panels and all that shit. It's just 6 towers that you have to climb where all the gameplay of this island take place. And because of this, I feel it would have been so much better having, fuck my life, Kronos Island's second half be playable from the start, which just expands the potential of exploration, because as I said, Rhea is fucking nice. It's nice to just have a run around in, but there's a lot to see and fuck all to do. But if the whole point of Rhea Island is to climb the towers, why not just have the story take us back to the first island, do this objective, and move on to the last? And since there's no Supersonic on this island, clearly the last island would also have to take place as part of Kronos, because there's no way for Sonic to have left it. It's just one of them that makes you end up asking a shitload of questions, and the answers are all to do with just behind-the-scenes development shit, which just always pisses me off in any type of media. Like, why couldn't Ant-Man go inside Thanos' bumhole? Oh, well, it's because no one actually wants to see that in a movie, and also if they do that, there wouldn't be a movie, so just have Strange say, well, that way it's just not gonna work, and sorted. And I know I already mentioned that in like one of the other review parts, but fuck it. Either way, I enjoy the story moments here, as Sonic's cyber corruption that's been going on in the game is slowly starting to kill him now. Sage is there wondering how he can even be smiling while he's literally becoming a walking corpse. That's just Sonic there. A moment like that is why I'll always love this character. It's genuinely inspiring that no matter how hard things can get, you always have to keep pushing and power through. And on Rhea Island, you also get the backstory of the Ancients. Their home planet was destroyed, so they used the Chaos Emeralds to escape, meaning these beings were the first creatures to ever have them. But the Emeralds lead them to the Master Emerald, which is on Earth, so clearly that's another backstory to be explored in the series. Once on Earth, they learn that the thing that destroyed their home has followed them, so they created the Titans and other weapons to fight it back, but nothing they did worked, as this threat was too powerful. Also, this scene reveals the last Titan, and all the visions that Sonic saw after destroying a Titan was from this scene, as it's these Ancients reacting to watching the pilot of the last Titan be killed as it falls to Earth. And then the others just seal it in cyberspace. This threat was the Jesus voice from the start that's been guiding Sonic, so it used him to break down the walls between the real world and cyberspace, so they could be free to destroy it. But also, one thing I noticed while playing the last island is sometimes that Jesus voice is still guiding Sonic. There's a lot of dialogue in this game that goes kind of unused. Like, my first playthrough of the game, I barely heard anything from Sonic, and then more and more I played it, and the longer I was just running around islands, I started to hear these quotes, and I'm like, why the fuck do you not just make these things a little more frequent? Also, these ancient beings actually devolved into Chow, meaning these things are basically the ancestors of Chaos, which I'll admit is a cool detail. Something you'll find out from the Eggman memos you get from fishing, which I can't be asked to talk about fishing. I barely did any fishing. To put it simple though, it's a way to basically bypass playing the actual game, because you can get everything you need to progress the story from fishing, which is actually very fucking useful, because sometimes getting these memory tokens just make me want to kill myself. But eventually Sonic is fully corrupted and is stuck standing lifelessly, but from this moment, the story potential just fucking flops. I don't see a reason why Sonic's friends holding hands worked. Maybe it'll be fully explained in the DLC next year when these characters become playable. It's a thing to criticize now, so the DLC better give me a reason to take it back. Also, because Sonic broke the walls between dimensions, Eggman was able to escape cyberspace, but now the Jesus voice is free. I've always said if God's real, he's a prick. This game proves it. Sonic and Eggman kind of team up, and the last island is just collect all the Chaos Emerald. No Titan appears after collecting the first one, and the last island is fun enough to explore, but there's one thing I hate about it, and that's that bastard Ghost Guardian boss. If you fucking played the game, you know which one I'm talking about. If you thought the drowning music of the classic games was stressful, this shit makes me frustrated to the point I feel like I'm gonna have an anxiety attack, because it just doesn't fuck off. But there's these platforming challenges that you can't get to without fighting the fucker, which is why I don't like this little shit. Also, the caterpillar is the only real enemy that poses a threat, because it's the only one where if you get hit, you can't instantly pick up rings. And then the final battle is kind of anticlimactic, as Eggman just shows up with the last emerald, which is what I mean when I say they kind of team up. They didn't need Eggman to give him the last emerald, he just does. Realistically, Eggman contributed nothing to this ending. But then it's time for the final battle. Super Sonic battles a Titan that had no earlier introduction. And my main issue with it is that this thing is too similar to Giganto. The other two Titans were completely different and unique, and this thing kind of just feels stale. Not that it's a bad fight though, but that's just because all the bosses in this game are fucking fantastic except for the true final boss. But I'd say it doesn't feel nearly as cool as the others. Like, he pulls out this gun, but never fucking uses it, except for a quick time event that makes no sense. Or at least confused the fuck out of me when I kept seeing it. He shoots it far out into the ocean, but even if he knocks you back, you never ended up where he shoots it. So now Sonic is just there, and also pressing the button just so Sonic flying back in its face. If you wait a bit, you see Sonic about to parry the bullet, so why they didn't just change the timing and the animation to make it make sense is beyond me. He also grows these pink wings for some reason, but doesn't have them in the fight. But what's even dumber is that he has a jetpack on its back to make it fly, so what was the point of it growing these fucking wings? But there's no cool ending to the fight, it just drops to its knees, which is fine, because the final battle isn't fully over, as the entity in it goes back into space to get its full strength again, and Sage takes control of the Titans. Obviously, it couldn't be destroyed. I wish this battle was just a little more cooler though, you know? But it helps the fact that I'm Here is blasting in the background. It's an amazing song. That's all that really need to be said. It's just an amazing song. There's no other end to that sentence. It's just fucking fantastic. I remember when Vandalize got released, like, long before the fucking game came out. Everyone thought that was the bollocks. But all these boss fight themes make Vandalize sound like dog shit, and Vandalize isn't even a bad song. I'm Here might as well make Live and Learn sound shit. That's how fucking much I love this song. As I was saying, Sage takes control of the Titan, and now that there's nothing controlling it, that's the only reason I can come up with the fact she's able to take control of it, because they make it clear in the game that she can't fully control the Titans, but fuck it. And Sonic and Sage fly off into space to deal with whatever this threat is, as Eggman is left worried and says this.
Be careful, dear daughter.
Holy shit! Yeah, my reaction to hearing that line from Eggman fucking stunned me. So Sage evolved into Eggman's greatest creation, and now, to him, feels like his actual daughter. Pretty interesting, to be fair. In space, you kind of take control of the Titan to battle the End, which is just a purple moon giving it the Bobby Biggins the whole time in a Space Invaders style minigame that you already played 3 fucking times before this. If you didn't do this hacking minigame before, then it wouldn't have felt so disappointing to see that this is the final battle, especially in a game where every boss felt like the final boss. That's why I had such high expectations for the end game. I was expecting something truly grand, something to rival Sonic Unleashed finale, and what we get isn't that. It's not pure dog shit. I do feel satisfied after beating this thing. I do actually enjoy fighting this thing, but they missed a fucking opportunity here. You know, in Sonic Unleashed, you take control of the Gaia Colossus. I feel like they could have done something similar, but made the controls a lot better in Frontiers, where you actually take control of the Titan and fight off the End like that. That would have been fucking sick. I love the music in the background of this thing as well, but it does leave a sour taste in my mouth that this was the final boss. Like, this boss is not unforgettable in the right ways that I wanted it to be, but I love the moment during this fight when things start just exploding in a way that looks like fireworks. It really makes you feel like you have completed a massive journey that won't be forgotten, and this game won't be for me. Every game the last decade has felt like nothing happened by the end in terms of the story, but this game does. Although one thing that could have been done better here is Sage's sacrifice. Mainly just the fact that everything goes silent, Sage just drives the Titan into the End as it explodes, but then her last line is,
"Please, look after Father."
God knows where they're gonna go with the character of Eggman after this game, because honestly, I feel like this is gonna set something up. Because now, if Sonic dares to fight Eggman again, you have to understand that this little girl was asking Sonic to look after him. But yeah, in the end, Sonic's friends celebrate, and Eggman is clearly grieving the loss of his greatest creation, the thing he cared about the most, and it's gone. Or is it? In the end, Sonic Frontiers has done one thing right. It succeeded. It may not be Game of the Year. It may not be the perfect next-gen Sonic game that fans would have dropped to their knees to suck off Sega to give them, but it didn't need to be. It just needed to succeed. It needed to be good enough. It needed to not be so mediocre that it rivals with how shit Sonic shit is. If this game failed, if this game flopped, if this game ended up being disappointing as shit, that would have been it for so many fans. But it didn't. So a lot of people are going to stick with Sonic until they fuck up the next time. Because at this point, if they fuck up again, then it's probably over. Like, for so long, they wanted to avoid Sonic shit level of shit, but then they just ended up going even lower. Their games may be quality, but they're boring as shit. They're fucking forgettable, and they're what people don't want. Doing that alone has managed to piss off so many people with new games. It's why so many people just shat on the first reveal of the gameplay. So many people that did say the game looks shit now think the game is fucking amazing, or good enough, or something positive. But a lot of it was just out of worry. If the game didn't look good from the start, then it's probably just going to be another mediocre, averagely shit game, and that's not what anyone wants anymore. But either way, Sonic has now just climbed to the top, not just because of this game though. 2022 has been one of the best years for Sonic. We've got the amazing sequel to the Sonic movie at the start of the year. Sonic Prime has just come out and is fantastic. Sonic Origins was supposed to be big, but they kind of fucked it on that one, which again really did not inspire any type of confidence in Frontiers for me for a little bit. Because how is it that from Colors up until Frontiers, almost everything has been shit? And 2 of those things were remasters. But either way, we also just got a fucking great game in this year as well. That's a win for the Sonic fanbase. I'm definitely not the most diehard Sonic fan, but I do love what comes from this series, and 2022 has given me hope that Sonic is about to move away from the ass fuck of mediocre to wank Sonic games era. The movies will spread the franchise far out from just the fanbase, and if Sonic Team and Sega keep up with games like Frontiers, then it's going to get stale. But if they continue to outdo themselves and top frontiers each time like they did with so many previous Sonic games from the past, before colors, then everything will be fine. I haven't mentioned each and every last detail of this game. I feel like I've talked about most of the important stuff. I was going to save the goods and the bads about the whole story for later, because, to be honest, this story was a big one. But that is going to end my review for Sonic Frontiers for now. I give it a 7.5 out of 10. The things that held it back was the final boss being disappointing, just the end game of the ending of the story being disappointing, and then cyberspace not being the best it could have been. But the game is getting DLC next year, and that'll be something to look forward to, especially new playable characters, because holy shit, when was the last time we had new playable characters in a 3D Sonic game? But yeah, the last year I've been making a lot more Sonic content, because this year has given me reason to. I want to love the franchise and share that on YouTube. And I definitely did not want to wait until Christmas Eve to upload this video, but that's what ended up happening. So all I can say is Merry Christmas, lads, and until the next time, have a good one.